Hello, we are in Global Spine Congress, and I'm very keen to have an interview to Professor Max Aebi. Max has been the founder and past editor-in-chief of the European Spine Journal, and nowadays he is in charge of the OOT video series. And I would like to focus our conversation on this, Max. My first question is, when did you have the idea of introducing into the European Spine Journal a video series?
This was about 8 years ago, because I was involved in Bern in this the former hip surgeon, and he closed everything down when he was realizing that his days are counted. And so I found a whole laboratory for filming and for recording, and I thought this is really a pity to throw this away. For £1 and I bought it for £1, and then we realized that everything was outdated and we have to buy new things, and so we had to build this up. And so the first thing what we did were so-called live surgery symposiums, where we transmitted from the operating theater into the lecture hall, and with time we had some films, and then I started to think why we are not going to put these films on a platform so a wider public can see it. And that's how it started. And we have no support from industry or anything. At the beginning there was the journal who helped to start that. I put also my own money in that from my patients, and that's how it grew.
Okay. And it's very important to know not only when it started, but also why. What do you think that video is necessary, or is convenient, or is good to have in a journal, in a scientific journal? What's the role of video?
I think that when you watch what's going on in this so-called journal market, then it's definitely clear that people, we as doctors, are not different from the normal people in the world. And when you look what people do, then they are constantly on their devices, and when you really study what they do on their devices, there are two things. One is communicate by messages, and the other one is to see pictures. And in fact it's very interesting that Watson News is a big news channel, and they make an advertisement now everywhere in the world where they read news, and then they cross-read and they put see news. And that's the trend in our time. And if you want to help to educate people, you have to give them the opportunity to see pictures. And surgery is something you learn with pictures. You learn with, three-dimensionally. And when we put films, we try to put films from surgeons who are experienced, who have a good track record. So the learners have the opportunity to see how a guy is doing that. It's like in music, you listen a piano concerto maybe from I don't know, some famous pianist from abroad, from Baden-Baden, or you want to listen to former times, Clara Husky. So you listen to the same music, but there is different interpretation. And surgery is not a science. Surgery is a narrative art, and you can only show that in pictures. And it's very interesting. We started in a time when almost no journal happened. And now you go on all these famous journals, UN Journal of Family, JMO, Lancet, JBJS, all now have video platforms. And it's becoming more and more important because people have no time to read, they want to see.
So we are in a video culture, so video science makes sense. And another important thing, in all these 8 years, how many videos have you been collected about surgeries? How many of them do you have now in the collection?
We have around 200, which are basically you can view, but we have in our archives even others. older ones we may probably never be able to show because we don't have the money to restore all the things.
What makes the difference between a general journal and a scientific journal is method and is structure. How are these videos structured in order to be a scientific tool?
Oh, it's not so much a scientific tool, it's a teaching tool. And in a teaching tool, you need to have to certain principles. You need to outline what is the purpose of what you want to teach. Then you have to show the material on which you base your teaching. And what you learn from what you see, for instance, that means you need to summarize, you need to see the options, how you can do that. So it's more for teaching. It's not really a scientific issue, but the fact is that people more and more, they don't read the so-called scientific articles. We know that about 6% of the so-called scientific work may read an original paper, but probably look a film is much higher percentage. And so I cannot imagine that the journal in the long term can exist without offering images, pictures to their audience or to their listeners.
You mentioned before that we are in an image culture, but we are also in an internet culture, and in internet everything can be measured. How are the metrics of OOT videos? How many users you have, how many accesses you have, how many videos have become viral or very popular?
Yeah, out of my head, I don't want to say wrong things, but I know that there is a community of OOT community which is more than 1,000 now, and there have been videos which have been seen more than 200,000 times, because these videos are also on YouTube, and therefore what we see is a monthly view of these videos is in the amount of 8,000 to 10,000, and it's growing steadily.
That's a lot. Do you think that the way that the videos have been produced, that means having a professional team visiting the hospital, spending one day, doing professional filming, then professional production, which is expensive, is the only way to do that? Or there are also alternatives that can coexist and that can replace this model of production of videos?
Yes, I think we have fundamentally to rethink this, because, as you said, this is very costly, and of course we claim that it's a very high quality, but we are realizing that this is not going like that anymore. So we have opened a second channel where you can basically submit any film you want, surgical films, like in YouTube, and then we will classify them according to whether they are viewed or not. Those which are the highly viewed ones, we may ask then also to start them according to what we think. And also the recording. I don't think that you need a film team as we have today in the future, because there is technologies which will replace completely this. And I'm working with a team in the Institute of Technology in Switzerland, where we developed a system where you can film as you do surgery. You don't need a team, and you can stream it, you can immediately send it. I mean, this is going to change fundamentally, and it is low cost.
Thank you, Max, for this very interesting point of view, and thank you for your work for making things happen and being available to people. Thank you very much.
Thank you.